Hey guys, today we're going to talk about memorizing lyrics. I've been really excited to do this video because it's been a question I have been asked constantly. How do I memorize lyrics for my gigs? My name is Sarah Rogo, and make sure to subscribe to my channel and of course sign up for my Patreon if you want exclusive lessons and content just like this. Let's get started. Okay, so for this video we're going to use the lyrics to my song Dancing in the Dust. Let's take a look. So with a pencil and paper, you can either have the lyrics printed out or on an iPad. And I'm going to underline all of the key words in each line. So let's just start with the first stanza. So twilight, desert, we're watching the city in the distant rust. Only thing in this world I trust. You gotta move, can't depend on luck. So I ride because I'll do must. And then even just end of the world, dancing in the dust. So from there, beside it, desert. All right, twilight, I forgot that. Watching, rust, trust, move, luck, ride, must, and I'll just say end of world. Dancing, dust. So what I did, I extracted the key words from each line and I put them beside. So now I just focus on, I kind of forget all about this and I just run twilight, desert, watching, rust, trust, move, luck, ride, must, end of the world, dancing in the dust. So I'll scratch this off, or I'll write this on a separate set of paper, and then when the song is playing, I'll just look at those key words, and then I'll just try to memorize those, even if I have to say it over and over again. What I'll do even from here, I'll summarize even more, and just one word per line. Usually I do the first keyword, like twilight, because oftentimes when you're memorizing words, it's kind of just like the trigger that you need to remember. You know, it's like, oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Hi, baby girl. You want to memorize some lyrics with me? So oftentimes you really just need kind of like a trigger to be like, oh, that's the line. And once you get that first word, you remember it. So twilight, I'll put rust, even though rust is last. Trust. And again, these are rhymes, so these will help us. Luck, ride, world, and then dancing in the dust is the hook. I'll just put dust. So now I only have keywords: twilight, rust, trust, luck, ride, world, dust. From there, I'll listen to the song and either listen to it and sing it, or I'll try to write out the lyrics just having these keywords in front of me. And that way, it kind of consolidates all the words into one nice little package. And even if I don't have time to completely memorize words to a song, I will in fact put a little sheet in front of me with these keywords. And that way it'll trigger in my brain so I could just look down super quickly, see that keyword, and then sing it. So from there, let's just do the next stanza as an example. So take a look at section 2. Looking out back to the setting sun. So let's just do sun. And let's do lookin', because again, it's the trigger word, how we're gonna remember the line. Night. I'm gonna do, instead of done, because it's like what's done, the old one is done. Old ones. There's always something that you can't outrun. I actually, for everybody's brain is different, so you have to kind of understand what's gonna make me remember this line. It might be different than how you'll remember this line, but this, I'm gonna put there's always. Some people would underline something. And then I'm going to do outrun. The next line, the devil's in the mind, not the smoking gun. So I'm definitely going to underline devils, and smoking. Because when I hear smoking, I'll be like smoking gun. I'm going to remember gun. It's the triggers for you and what's going to help you remember. It's different for everybody. I keep riding because I must. Similar to, that's a line in the first stanza as well. I'm just going to underline riding. And then end of the world, I'll just do world. And then we're going to have a little fun. That last line is different than the first stanza's last line. So I'm just going to underline fun. And that'll help trigger me personally to we're going to have a little fun. So again, I'm writing on either a separate sheet of paper on the side. Looking, sun, night, old ones. I'll just put always, outrun, devils, smoking, riding, world, fun. I'll work on that for a while because that has, a lot of keywords. And then I move to the next section, which has even less keywords, like less trigger words. So I'm gonna, looking out back to the setting sun, I'm gonna put sun. Night on the rise, the old one's done. I'm gonna put night. Outrun. So sometimes I'm highlighting the very first word, and sometimes it's the last word. It depends on if I need a trigger for the beginning or if I need to remember what the rhyme is. Devils will be my trigger word. Riding. World. Fun. It just dawned on me how messy my writing actually is. I hope you guys can read it. So anyway, these are my trigger words for this stanza. Let's just quickly do the next one. And as I'm reading these, you can decide for yourself the ones that you would underline. So I'm just gonna, for this stanza, just underline one word, just to kind of keep the ball rolling. So midnight rolling in, can't shut my eyes. I did midnight. Igniting fire, growing on the rise. I'm gonna do fire. Pack and load, I'm gonna pack and load it if I'm gonna be wise. I'm just gonna do pack. You should never let a flame grow 3 times your size. I'm gonna do flame. And if I need to do an extra one, I'll do 3 times for an extra trigger word. Because I could be like, you should never let a flame. What about a flame? So sometimes you need 2 trigger words in a line. And then, same line, keep riding because I must. It's the end of the world, and we're dancing in the dust. So keep in mind, take a look, this first stanza, the last line is dancing in the dust. The second stanza is we're gonna have a little fun. And then the third stanza is back to dancing in the dust. So these keywords are a great way to help you not just remember, but trigger the memory within your brain. So I will just, for the sake of continuing, going straight to this last section, midnight, fire, pack, flame, riding, and dancing. So if someone would read that list, they would have no idea what they're reading, but you know what you're reading. In fact, I use this method to memorize Come Together by the Beatles, because like, we don't even know what those words are actually about, but I use these keyword triggers to remember the lyrics. So even from there, if you're anybody like me, you sometimes have a hard time, even if you memorize the separate stanzas or the separate verses, you're like, which verse comes first or second or third? Like a Bob Dylan song, it's like a million verses. What you can do, you can come up with a keyword for each stanza. So like this first one, here, I'll erase this. A keyword for this first stanza and what it's about. So the only thing in this world I trust, you gotta move, can't depend on luck. So a part of memorizing a song is really understanding what it's about. Even if it's a song like Come Together by the Beatles, you're like, what's that song about? Even what it means to you, you can conceptualize it in your own head. That's really important, because how are you gonna memorize like a story or something if you don't really know what it's about, especially to you? So, you know, understand your lyrics, whether they're your own or someone else's. So this first stanza, I'm going to use the keyword move. So I remember it's about, okay, I'm watching the city in the distant, but that I got to keep on moving and I can't depend on luck. So I ride because I must. So that's just like my little keyword. The second stanza, let's use the keyword, there's always something that you can't outrun. The devil's in the mind, not the smoking gun. To me, it's like, okay, the demons are like, you know, come from within. So I'll just put devils, even if it's not what the stanza's about. Sometimes for me, the strongest line in that stanza will help me remember it. So I love the line, the devil's in the mind, not the smoking gun. So move, devils, the last one, midnight rolling in, can't shut my eyes, igniting fire, growing on the rise. I'll pack and load it if I'm gonna be wise. You should never let a flame grow 3 times your size. This is all about fire, so I'm gonna write fire. Okay, so the stanzas, move, devils, fire. Keep in mind, this is a verse refrain. This is not a verse chorus. So that's an even more way to break it down and memorize it, is just, if you just need a trigger just for the whole stanza and what it's about. Because it kind of, in my mind, is like a pyramid of memory triggers, where you need a lot more triggers at first, a lot more different words, and then you can start to consolidate those trigger words and end up even with 1 trigger word per stanza. And with that, the last piece of advice, if you're really having trouble with this, especially with trigger words, and if you're a very visual person, this is the most absolutely ridiculous exercise, but I'm gonna erase these here. And sometimes, again, I did this with Come Together. I'll draw little pictures of each line. It's just like absolutely ridiculous because I'm terrible at drawing. But this is another way, especially if you're a visual person, to help you memorize the lyrics. Again, I'm still using the context of these keywords here. So like, you know, twilight, so it's like the sun is setting. That just, even though it doesn't really look like twilight, it's a little stick drawing, but to me, that looks like twilight. The sun is sinking down. Even though technically twilight is when the sun is already sunk and it's still light out, but that's okay. Semantics, it really doesn't matter. The next line, watching the city in the distant rust. So I'm just like, I do like little buildings, you know, skyscrapers and whatever. You can be as intricate or as simple as you want. So that looks like a city, that's funny. The only thing in this world I trust. Oh, there's no picture of that. So I don't know, maybe trust, like I'll do the emoji of the 2 hands, 2 palms being put together. You gotta move, can't depend on luck. I'll do a little shamrock. That's a terrible shamrock, but you see what I'm saying is that you can do little pictures to help you memorize it. And then after you do all your pictures, you take away the paper and you have either just your pictures and your trigger word and you sing the song, or make your speech, each line of your speech or your slam poem, and you just look at your picture triggers. So get how this is built differently for every single brain. And it's just going to be up to you to figure out how your own brain works, because it's going to be different than, you know, your friend. So sometimes you have all the time in the world to memorize a song, and sometimes it's crunch time and you really only have a few hours or a day to memorize a bunch of songs. So my recommendation is to print out lyrics or handwrite them. That's another way to help you memorize as well, handwrite over and over again. Or you can do it on the iPad, whatever's easiest for you. And then on a separate sheet of paper, I'll do my trigger words, and then I will fold up those trigger words on a sticky note. And as I'm walking around the neighborhood, the block, if I'm kind of driving, I'll just have them next to me, and I just have the, you know, those triggers to help unlock what the next line, what the next stanza is. So hopefully that works for you. It always has worked for me. And again, every brain is different, so be patient with yourself. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that mini lesson on memorizing lyrics. Now keep in mind, this could be used for speeches or even slam poetry, which I've done in the past with this technique. So I hope you guys enjoy and play around with it in your own way. Again, my name is Sarah Rogo, and make sure to subscribe to my YouTube page, and all the info that you could ever need about me and where to find my music, my lessons, and more, you can find in the description of this video. And make sure to check out my Patreon subscriber page, where you can get access to exclusive lessons, videos, music, behind the scenes, and more. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll catch you guys next time.